Bonsoir! I'm the Mademoiselle and ça c'est deuxième Chanel. Welcome to another video. As you guys can see, I have another Haitian Voodoo story time for you guys. Now, to be honest with you, I really try to spread these out so I don't run out of stories. But every single time I do a video or talk to someone, I get triggered and reminded of another one. I feel like a lot of my Haitian Voodoo stories are actually kind of traumatic. And I feel like a lot of them kind of like made me who I am in a way, specifically the ones that I've witnessed personally. When I first started this channel, I talked a few times, right, about how I knew I can see things, right? How I knew that I can feel things that other people could not. And most notably, how I saved some people in my family's life, right? As well as certain close friends and stuff, because it's like, it's interesting because looking back on it now, I understand it. But as a kid, I didn't. I just thought all of this shit was normal. And I feel like I processed it completely different back then than I do now, right? So I just filmed a reaction video reacting to people's voodoo TikTok stories. And this story literally just popped back in my head. And I have no idea how I forgot it, right? So just for context, as many of you guys already know or do not know, I was born with a veil, okay? For Haitian terms, it's called fetakwaf, which means I can see, hear, and feel things most people don't. And it's something that I've learned to live with. It's something that I've kind of just ignored because it's like I've literally been hearing and seeing shit since I was like 3. Okay, like, and it got to a point and it got so bad that my first and only trip to Haiti was when I was about 6 or 7 because my parents thought I was actually being attacked. And the reason they thought I was being attacked is because when my mother was pregnant with me, my estranged sister's family tried to kill her. It was a whole thing. Like literally, I was born with this huge mass on my arm. I had to get surgery as a baby. My mom almost died. It's this whole thing. So they thought that I was continuing to be attacked. Now, the story I just gave is actually on my Patreon. I'm going to try my hardest to try to transfer my Patreon content to my membership, especially the more spiritual based ones, because it would fit better here. And I know a lot of you guys like be looking for context, but that's the short gist of it, right? So during this long journey of my parents finally realizing, oh shit, like what the fuck is going on? I feel like there were just way too many instances, right? Now, since I was born in a veil, right? Which means in CAUL, which I've done a video on that. Hopefully I remember to link all of it down below so you guys can have further context. When you're born in a veil and you're born in CAUL, you can do certain things to take it off, right? You can do certain things to remove the powers or honestly the inconveniences that that child may have. Now, because there are so many people in my family with the same gift and born in CAUL, they already knew. They were like, we don't want her to go through this, okay? Nobody saying kaka voye, like, you know, nobody saying Yvana, you know, bed. Like, you know, they didn't want me to be scared. They didn't want me to live life basically looking over my shoulder, afraid of any and everything, because it was getting to that point. Like, I remember my mom used to go out with me all the fucking time at night, and it used to piss me off because my mom has a tobacco addiction, okay? I want to know if there's any Haitians watching this who have a parent or who are addicted to tobacco, because it is so common and it is so fucking irritating. And she would go across the park, because I lived across the street from a park, Haitian neighborhood, J Park. Shout outs to the gang, anybody that's watching, right? And there was a lady that used to sell tobacco across the street from the park, and she would get home late. Like my mom would get home late, and she would only be able to get it when like the sun was down, and she would always take me with her. And I used to be so freaking terrified because I was seeing so much shit on the park, because obviously there's loads of dead people. Well, okay, not obviously, right? Normal people that live near normal parks don't have people that die all the time on the park. But at the time, it was the hood. Bad things were happening. People were constantly dying on the park. And I would see the spirits of these people. And it was very, very terrifying. And I'll say, like, coupled with that, the fact that I was terrified of the dark. Now it's like, I love the dark. The dark is my solace. But at the time, it's like, me being afraid of the dark wasn't necessarily something my parents saw as, oh, she's a kid, she's afraid of the dark. Eventually, they started looking at it like, oh shit, we have a problem here. Like, there's something here that we should be paying attention to. Because, like I've said a few times, right, my parents tried to take it off of me, right? They tried to take the gift away. So for them, they thought like something was really attacking me versus me just seeing things that I'm naturally able to see. I will say, those things kind of went away a little bit, but not necessarily. I just only see dead stuff now. Before, I was able to see any and everything, which I'm happy I cannot see any and everything because I have family members that can see any and everything, and I don't got time for none of that goofy shit. Okay, my ass is perfectly fine just seeing the moth. Okay, like, I'm fine just seeing the dead. Okay, there's certain spirits I can see here and there, but it really truly depends. But for the most part, I only see things associated with death now. But back in the day, it was a little bit different, right? So in this particular instance, we're just gonna say I had an aunt, right? And this aunt was, let me just say, okay, because again, we have to switch some things around for privacy reasons per usual, right? This aunt in particular, had a family that was involved in a lot of shit. To this day, has a lot of family that's involved in a lot of shit. And they're always in some shit because of it. Like, even right now, there's a current situation going on, and I don't know what to do about it because, kid you not, I tried to light a candle for the situation, that shit burnt out. Like, I've never seen a candle in my life burn like that. It was bad. So that's just to tell y'all how messy and murky that aunt is, right? And I'm just going to say Mataunt. Mataunt means my aunt or aunt. I'm just going to call her aunt for this purposes. I'm never really going to bring this lady up again, to be honest. So don't get it mixed up with my other aunties that I've talked about on my channels, my Patreon, and my membership. We're just going to call her aunt or Mataunt for the purposes of this, right? As a kid, my parents used to always leave me with this aunt, right? Now, the thing is, now that I look back at this as an adult, I don't know what the fuck. This lady was being attacked and nobody knew why. And unfortunately for her, she thought that, you know, she could get rid of it herself because she's also a practitioner. Now, again, I was a kid. I didn't know all of this shit at the time. As an adult, I heard the rest of the story and now I know. But that's honestly a small gist of what happened, right? She was essentially being attacked. Nobody knew what was going on. She tried to take care of it herself. She went to numerous churches. She went to numerous practitioners. No one can figure it out. There were so many people giving her different answers. Someone said it was an old relationship. An Ogon said it had to do with money. One of the Mumbo said it was a past partner. There was a Bokor that said that, you know, it was nothing. It was just her paying her karmic debt or some shit like that. But whatever it is that she kept doing for herself and all the people that she continuously went to were not giving her any clear answers. It wasn't until she was watching me one day that she was like legitimately attacked because she was alone that people finally figured out what was wrong with her. Now, the thing is with her, right? She was very, very independent. She still is. She's fiercely independent, very outspoken. And she the type of person, like, if this shit would have killed her, I guarantee you she would have brought herself back to life to fucking kill the person. Like, she's that type of person. She's very like, y'all not finna fuck with me. Like, she's one of those, right? I remember this. This is actually one of my most vivid memories, but not vivid, but like one of my earliest memories, right? I had to be about 4 or 5 years old and my aunt was watching me. And I remember being in the kitchen and she was just like talking to herself. And I'm sitting there like, the fuck? Like, I remember looking at her like, what the hell is wrong with her? And she's sitting there and she's like, oh, like, oh, you think you gonna take me? Oh, vin pom su kapab. Like, come get me if you can type shit. And I'm just looking at her like I'm dead looking at her like as a kid, like, the hell? So obviously she's talking to herself, but in the corner, I see something. Like, I'm looking at this man in the corner and I'm looking at her argue with herself, but she's not looking at this man in the corner. Now, I'm saying man, it could have been a woman, but it was like this really dark, shadowy situation in the corner in like the dining room. But it was like kind of, it wasn't open concept. Because y'all know open concept is more of a new thing. This is like back then. Like, I was like 5, so it had to be like 1999, 2000s, right? So it was an open dining room in the fact that you can look into it from the kitchen, but it was like there was still a wall there. So from the angle that I'm at, I see the corner and I see her and she's going back and forth, but I'm looking at that shit in the corner like, Now, me being like 5-ish, like, I'm just like, okay, like, I'm watching this shit unfold, okay? She's doing this, and I kid you not, this conversation goes on for like a good 15, 20 minutes, right? And it keeps reoccurring. So she does that, the thing disappears, she stops, and she, you know, feeds me. And then she goes back into it. takes me a bath, and then goes back into it. Like, it's just like, it's on and off throughout the day. So now at this point, I believe one of my cousins like came through. It was like, oh, come on, yeah, my son. So they're just like, oh, aunt, how you doing? Like, da 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 da. Like, how was your day? And my aunt is like, oh, like, they trying to get me, they trying to kill me, da da da. They not gonna take me, just talking shit. And they're not. Nobody's saying anything to me because I'm a kid. I'm 5, right? So they're like, oh, we've been trying to, find someone that could help you. We've been trying to find different pastors. We've been trying to do this, trying to do that to see, if we could figure out what's going on. Basically, trying to give her the rundown. And she's like, oh, no one's going to be able to help me. I'm going to get rid of this shit myself. And I remember sitting there looking at her like, why is she not telling them about the man in the corner or whatever? Like, and the whole time, like, I'm just listening. Okay, I'm listening to this, and again, this was like a long situation. Like, this is not a situation that happened like in the span of a day or two. Like, this shit happened for at least weeks, maybe I wouldn't say a few months. I would say like weeks, like maybe like 6 to 7 weeks of this nonsense, because they would continuously bring me over there. It wasn't every day, but maybe a few times a week I would go over there, and she's arguing with the shadow figure or whatever. And sometimes she remembers it and sometimes she doesn't. And it would be a reoccurring thing. Would it be like, oh, how you doing? Did you see anything? Da da da. And she's like, you know what? I haven't seen anything, but et cetera, I'm gonna figure it out, right? Now the thing is with the shadow figure, eventually I started going up to the shadow figure, and I was just like, who the fuck is you? Like, I literally went up to this shit eventually and was like, who are you? Now, at this point, right, I'm not thinking of it, okay? You have to think of this from the perspective of a child, right? Especially a 5-year-old, right? I'm not thinking that this is something I should not be interacting with. But it's weird. Like, I knew enough to understand that she was more than likely interacting with this situation in a different way that I could understand. But I knew that this thing was something I could interact with because I can see it, right? So I go to the corner, okay, one day, and I start talking to it. My aunt is looking at me like, what are you talking to? And I'm like, I'm talking to your friend. Like, he comes here every day. And my aunt's just sitting there like, fuck you mean comes here every day? What are you looking at? And I'm like, the guy's right there. Crazy enough, right? You would think that my aunt would have told my parents, like, hey, I think your kid is seeing stuff. Honestly, I think that she thought it was one of those imaginary friend situations where, because like we all know most kids see things. Sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes it's really an imaginary friend. I think that's genuinely what it was. She more than likely was just sitting there like, yeah, she just talking. Ain't no way she see that shit. But I don't know. It's very interesting. Now, mind you, okay, by this point, this was not like the first time. I'll say, you know what? This might have been like the 3rd or 4th time I'm sitting here talking to this thing. Every single time this thing would show up, it wouldn't be her arguing with herself. Sometimes, like, she went to go take a shower. I'm downstairs. The shit is talking to me. And the thing was nice to me. Okay? Like, crazy enough. It was nice to me. It's playing with me. It's talking to me. I can't even tell you what the fuck the conversation was. Okay, I cannot tell you what the conversation was. I just know that it would come and I'd be like, hey, you want to play with the doll? And it'd be like, all right, boom. Like, obviously, it'd be speaking Creole to me. And luckily, I knew some, bit of Creole at the time, but my Creole wasn't strong. My Creole actually didn't get decent until I went to Haiti, ladies and gentlemen. In the video, I said when I went to Creole. I had to take that part out. When I went to Haiti. And I had to pay these cousins of mine to teach me some shit because my parents were insisting on using their English on me. So my Creole wasn't amazing, but I still was able to communicate. Like, I was able to make a shake, you feel me? I'm sitting there like, où voulez jouer avec? And this spirit's like, oui, like little shit. And it wasn't, it didn't dawn on me that this was unnatural until, my parents were talking about the situation. They're like, man, poor Mata, poor aunt, like, she's really going through this and there's nothing we could do to help her. Like, this shit is crazy. I don't know how none of these people are able to pinpoint what's going on. Like, this is crazy. I was like, well, why don't you guys just ask the guy in her house? And my parents were looking at me like, what guy in the house are you talking about? I said, the guy in the house. There's this guy that's in the house, like, every time I'm over there, and he be playing with me and he be talking to me. And my parents were looking at me like, it's scary because I remember how my parents looked at me. They looked fucking terrified. Okay, they were just like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like they're just like, "Keep guy, like who's talking to you?" Like there's a guy talking to you in the house. I'm like, "Yeah, like there's a guy. Like y'all never see him," and they're just like, "Girl, like describe this guy, right?" So I start describing this guy. I remember. I'm not gonna give a complete description. Just know tall, black, very big, heavy leather jacket. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. And they were just like, oh my God, we know who it is. All I gotta say is, right, I'm not gonna give all the details, but essentially the person I saw was someone that had passed away whom she did very wrong. Very wrong. Just think of one of the worst things you could do to somebody. That's what she did to him. Person ended up passing away and decided to basically terrorize her in death. Why is it that none of the mumbos or the ogles or whatever, the buckors and stuff, like, why is it nobody was able to see that? I have zero idea to this day. That's the part of the story I don't understand. I'm like, what type of fucking mumbos and buckors and shit was y'all going to that didn't see this dead shit in the fucking corner? I don't know. I saw it, and unfortunately, after that, I never seen it again. Okay, and you guys probably like, Yvana, you want to see this shit again? I mean, he was cool. Like, he was playing with me and shit. Like, he ain't do shit to me. All right, you know what? That's a little selfish. But I'm saying, like, Lipa Family, yeah, he ain't do shit to me. That was her fucking problem. I'm just fucking saying. But yeah, they went, they blessed the house. They basically did like kind of like a house ritual situation. I wasn't there for it. I just know that that's what they did because years later, like I think I was like 7 or something, I overheard some adults talking about it and they're like, yeah, you'll love it, like, you know, they blessed the house, all that. He hasn't heard anything since. But I will say this aunt has continued to be very rebellious and curse people out and do all types of goofy shit to people. Listen, she thinks she's powerful. She get rid of shit. She get rid of shit. I will say she technically did get rid of it, I guess, on her own with the help of other people when she figured out what it was. I think they mainly thought it was like more of like a curse type situation, like black magic. And now that I think about it, that's probably why the mumbos, the ogos, and the bokors couldn't figure it out, because technically someone haunting you is different from someone sending black magic after you. Although I think they still should have been able to catch it, that's not necessarily the expertise of a spiritual leader. Not all of them will be able to tell you like, oh, there's a ghost that's after you. There's a ghost that's very upset about what you've done. So granted, you know, I'll give them that. That's one of the stories of why my parents took me to Haiti and thought that that was going to do something in terms of like, you know, stopping me from seeing shit. It hasn't done anything. If anything, it's probably made it worse. Now, it's crazy because I need to ask my parents, like, I want to wrap my head around and try to figure out and remember the process in Haiti in which they put me through to try to make me stop seeing shit. But I genuinely don't remember. And I feel like there's a reason I don't remember. But all I know is it didn't work. So to clarify, this is one of the reasons that led them to bring me to Haiti. However, when I was born, they did try to do something here in the States. That didn't work. And then after this situation and a few other situations, that's when they took me to Haiti to do something else. And it still obviously didn't work. So anyhow, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Shout outs to those of you guys who have been reaching out to me to congratulate me on starting my nonprofit, Lakayro, which is a dance nonprofit centered on providing dance services for underprivileged and underserved youth and adults. We are having our first set of dance classes in March in North New Jersey, specifically Belleville, New Jersey. If you're in the area, I want to see you there. Again, thank you guys so much for supporting me. If you guys want to support some more, join the membership or the Patreon, or just join the free Discord. Everything you need is going to be linked down below. Follow me on Instagram. That's where I'll be posting when I'm not posting on here. And with that being said, like, share, subscribe, check out the other channels, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye.